Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show, February 26th, 2026, 26. Extremely fake news that 2 months of the 2026 year is almost already over. I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I know who I am. I'm Patrick Daugherty. I'm joined by Denny Carter, Kyle Dvorchak. We're joined by lots of quarterback talk. That seems to be the big storylines coming out of this week's NFL Combine. We'll recap part of the Combine next week. We'll also preview free agency this week, but there's some interesting news items to hit on today. Sean Payton surrendering play calling duties. I think I've seen a ghost. Never thought I'd see the day. Yeah. That's how desperate he was to keep Davis Webb. Jordan Schultz reporting there's a, quote, strong belief Derek Carr is very serious about unretiring or returning to the NFL. We'll get the laugh track ready for that one. Kyler Murray, would he be the most sought-after quarterback in the NFL if he somehow secured his release, which will be very difficult to do? Anthony Richardson and the Colts saying, yeah, we should probably not work together anymore. Exploring a trade. Anthony Richardson also has his vision back. Big week for Anthony Richardson. What a strange young career. We'll talk about if he has any sort of future in the NFL. Tyson Bagent. I'll let the listeners try to remember what team he's on. Having a trade market, apparently. Mac Jones trade market. Brian Thomas potential trade market. DJ Moore potential trade market. Saquon Barkley, a new scheme or something. But we begin with
come on,
Saquon Barkley pretending the scheme matters.
I did that blurb.
No, I'm gonna say you had to do your job, but pretending like the guy who either gains 80 yards or 2 yards, like the scheme is gonna matter.
Actually, we'll get into it. Sirianni actually said that. So
we'll get into that. We'll get into with the biggest news of the week by far, though. Is the Dallas Morning News reports that Cowboys franchise player, not franchise tagged, just the most important player in the Cowboys franchise, kicker Brandon Aubrey, seeking a very reasonable $10 million per year. What happened to the country I love? Kickers trying to get $10 million. Anybody have any other thoughts on this other than it's an abomination?
Well, look, I tried. So I put up a little trial balloon on Blue Sky the other day. And I said, "Are we
even on woke Blue Sky? They're not going to be paying kickers $10 million."
And look, I said, he missed 6 kicks last year over 50 yards.
He's not even good.
So is he good? And I was immediately greeted with, "He's the best kicker in the NFL."
He is. I mean,
he is. And
you know why he missed? It's because kind of like, I don't know if I was shoddy, quote unquote. A person known as Shoddy somehow, guys. But if I were Shoddy, not sure I would have settled for a 74-yard field goal attempt here before the end of the first half.
But that's the kind of stuff you do when you have a
trying to hold it against him is what I'm saying. That's how he hold beyond 50 yards.
I wasn't following.
His coach is attempting 79-yard field goal. Try to make it from a 3-score game to a 2-score game.
I do think teams when they have a kicker who becomes a meme, they then base their whole existence on getting him cool opportunities.
They do.
And so that's what the Jags were doing. I think in the playoff game against Buffalo, they were clearly just trying to make it so Cam Little would have a cool kick. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to run your offense. So anyway, but we are talking about basically the best kicker in football making about as much as Tutu Atwell. That's okay. That's okay.
That is true, actually. The cap is sky high now, too, Kyle. Do you not condemn a kicker reaching double-digit millions?
No, I think it's fine. I think I even saw somewhere on Twitter, or maybe it was Blue Sky, that kickers back in the day when people were still spending first-round picks on Sebastian Janikowski or whatever, their contracts as a proportion of the cap were larger than what Brandon Aubrey is asking for. And proportionally, Brandon Aubrey is probably a better kicker relative to the kickers in his time right now than even obviously Janikowski's great.
But Al Davis did nothing wrong.
I mean, he was really good. He was a really good kicker. So
no, he wasn't.
Was he not? Didn't he play?
No, he was. What are you talking about?
He played till he's 40 something.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was really good. Forever, but he was really good.
But I mean, having the like you said, Pat, having there's too much time on the clock. What do you mean there's too much time? We've got 50 yards to go until we get into field goal range. And Aubrey's we have 3 yards to go.
Yeah, we got our humanoid kicker back here ready to being powered by AI.
Having that kind of ace up your sleeve at the end of the half or the end of a game is pretty valuable. And in the context, Tutu Atwell is the perfect example. $10 million in this cap space, just ain't getting you that much. It's getting a rotational wide receiver 4. Maybe it's not like game theory optimal allocation of resources, but like that's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
I kicked some long ones.
Go long enough, as we all have at this point, to you realize better to overpay the kicker than to underpay the kicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I.
Yeah, I mean, you end up with like a 42-year-old kicker on your roster in week 16 trying to make the playoffs. That's no fun.
And the kicker baseline has been raised so high, maybe kickers are becoming more valuable in relative terms. Not forgotten by us who lived while he was alive, but one of those people that I wish Zoomers could have like experienced was Al Davis. There will never be another Al Davis. It's both good and bad. But we miss you, Al. 15 years. 15 years gone.
Wow.
Today. No.
Didn't they make a movie? Did that movie already come out?
No, it's coming out on Bezos Vision later this year.
Oh.
Can you make the 15 years gone today joke in a few months too? Just like a few months.
Christian Bale playing Al Davis somehow. Not a joke. Not a joke.
Can't believe it. Yeah.
Not a joke. But Sean Payton has surrendered play calling duties. I mean, for week 1, don't get me wrong, he'll immediately reclaim them the second they lose a single game. But Denny, they were so scared of losing Davis Webb for some reason. Like, I don't know. I'm sure he's good. But
He must be good.
the whole point of Sean Payton is that he's one of the best. And the Broncos have been very good while he's been the head coach. Some people say the play calling, not as much, though. A lot of screens, not a very imaginative offense. I'm hiding Bo Nix. So is this a move, Denny, that should be celebrated? Or should it be second-guessed? One of the greatest offensive minds in the history of the NFL. Maybe it's not a good thing that he's giving up play-calling duties to your former favorite number 3 quarterback. What do you make of this move in Denver?
I mean, don't hold it against Davis Webb that he was never a great quarterback. Look, if you that's the thing about quarterbacks who stink but stick around for a while is that they actually have a really good head for the game. And
I mean that's the only reason they stick around for a while is that exact thing. Yeah,
you're right. They're just
my guys, Chase Daniel, Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert actually never my guy. Don't put it in the paper that I tweeted for Blaine Gabbert. He nearly ruined the Mizzou football program.
I'm surprised it's still around after Gabbert. So I think it's the right move, and I think it suggests that maybe Sean Payton understands that the game maybe has passed him by a little bit.
Let's see it real quick. Let's check out the Broncos seed, number 1 AFC seed last year. Interesting. Yeah, I think the game has passed by the coach of that team.
That was all defense and a soft schedule and just
so let's see here. They play in the division with Patrick Mahomes, Jim
not
Harbaugh.
good.
Interesting.
Justin Herbert, not good.
Geno Smith.
Interesting that you didn't name the other quarterback. You've only named one quarterback so far because it was like you don't think Justin Herbert's good. You got
literally, it had 4. This is not a joke. The AFC West last year had 4 Hall of Fame coaches. Sure, one of them looked like he should have not been coaching, and Peter Carroll. That's not an easy division, Denny, to get the number 1 seed in.
Yeah. Well, okay. Anyway, Davis Webb has his work cut out for him with Bo Nix because Bo Nix was bad.
Not good.
I have some stats here to back that up if folks are mad about that. Nix's dropback success rate was somehow below that of Bryce Young and Justin Fields.
All right. Listen, I'm a Bo Nix skeptic. Here I'm a spreadsheet skeptic. I'm like, all right, calm down.
We're not done with the spreadsheets. Nick, since the start of the 2024 season, ranks 31st out of 41 qualifying quarterbacks in success rates. He's like below replacement level.
Last time I checked, getting the number 1 seed, I would define that as success.
He happened to be on the team that got the number 1 seed. And you have to feel good for him, But they're going to have to find a way to scam their way to production, and maybe Davis Webb is the guy for that.
I mean, Kyle, kidding aside, they got the number 1 seed. It was about as fluky of a number 1 seed as you ever see. It wasn't necessarily in spite of Bo Nix. It was definitely not because of Bo Nix. And one thing that stood out anytime you watched the 2025 Broncos game was Sean Payton did not have faith in Bo Nix to put the offense on his shoulders. Sean Payton was doing the like 3D headset thing, like I'm the quarterback. And if I were the quarterback on the field, I'm not ever doing anything cool. I'm checking it down. I'm taking my screens. He'd never let Bo Nix do anything. Do you think that'll change under Davis Webb? Do you think Is it an admission from Sean Payton? The game is kind of passing him by, despite being an elite coach, that he just can't hang with like the Shanny and McVay brigade anymore when it comes to calling and sequencing plays.
Yeah, I don't know if it's an admission. I kind of hope so. Like, I like seeing humility from these coaches. I think that's like something that some of the best coaches in the NFL have the ability to do. I think we often see it in terms of like delegating certain roles. Hopefully this is one of those, because I do kind of think offensive scheme wise, there are aspects of the 2025 NFL game that Sean Payton does not have a grasp of. On passing plays last year, the Broncos had the second lowest rate of motion, which we know if you're getting receiver moving before the snap, you're giving your quarterback a chance to read the defense before the snap. It's a big advantage, and they were just not doing it. One thing I added to, I have like a sheet that's just like, here are like general play calling tendencies, like play action, motion. One thing I added was the rate of passes that came against either base personnel or heavy personnel, which is something that we're seeing with all the extra tight end usage, is that I don't think the modern NFL is like dead set on using the run to set up the pass, but using personnel and not even sacrificing the run. You know, running is less valuable than passing, not having to sacrifice that play that's a run and just moving an extra tight end onto the field, getting a really advantageous pass look. That's something that teams like the Rams and the Seahawks did run a lot. The Rams did not run a lot. They're like the poster child for not needing the run to set up the pass, setting up successful passes in different ways. Doing that, getting to face a team that's got 4 cornerbacks on the field and then throwing against that defense is really advantageous. The Broncos did extremely little of that last year. Like the latest innovation in NFL offenses, they did at a really low rate, and they weren't awfully successful when they got that look that most teams are trying to get now. So I do think there are certain things that Sean Payton can either clean up in his own game, or what he's doing now is hopefully pass on to Davis Webb. So does this work? I don't know. Like maybe Davis Webb is just as bad of a play caller as he was a quarterback. On the other hand, I do think they probably had to try something different. So I respect this move.
What you were kind of describing there with the personnel looks is like a run game by another name. And I feel like the most bizarre part of Sean Payton in Denver has been his total failure to ignite the Broncos run game. Yeah. Very uncharacteristic, very costly. It's just not been a multi-dimensional offense. It's frankly stunning. This team has made the playoffs 2 years in a row and gotten the number 1 seed. And one thing, I guess, too, a bullet point in favor of like, is this a good idea by Sean Payton, is that the whole league was circling, trying to poach Davis Webb. Right. That does tell you something. He's very well regarded in league circles. We'll just see, though, if a Hall of Fame coach no longer calling his own plays is actually a good idea. Did you find a word there?
So first of all, I respect it. I respect that Payton recognizes maybe that he has a guy on staff, a much younger guy who gets it, right? In a way, maybe Payton does not get it anymore. We've seen guys like Mike Tomlin, become dinosaurs, cost their team.
Yeah, just Mike Tomlin, missing the playoffs every year.
Mike Tomlin was not a good coach over his final 10 years, man.
Every time I agree with Denny, he says something that makes me because I agree that the game passed Mike Tomlin.
What am I gonna? Okay, all right. Forget all that. I didn't mean to get off track. Here's what I was gonna say. Now I forget. Darn it.
Yes, we ruined his. We got him.
We finally disrupted his train of thought. We interrupt him 100 times a show, and he never forgets his train.
I know. I got
a boxer who can just keep taking punches. We finally got him on the ground.
I got it. Ready? Davis Webb was going to be the Bills head coach for 15 minutes. Like that was happening. It looked like it was really, that was gaining momentum. So you're talking about not just another team's OC, a possible head coach. I think, this guy has the juice.
Yeah, that would have been a fascinating move. Lots of potentially fascinating moves percolating in the quarterback market. And these are a few things we're not really going to talk about. Just wanted to set the scene when we're discussing potential landing spots. Get on my binoculars here. Kevin Stefanski has refused to call Michael Penix the starter in Atlanta. Potential opening there. The Vikings being very open about they're not giving J.J. McCarthy the starting job. If he's the starter, it's because he had to earn it. It's because he showed up to training camp as an entirely new player. They said they're casting a wide net at quarterback. And then multiple reports that Malik Willis could command over $30 million per year.
What?
Yeah. Sounds insane, but in relative terms, it'd be half as much as the highest paid quarterbacks are getting. The salary cap continues to skyrocket. But those are just some general facts serving as some of the backdrop for these more specific points. And the first one, Denny, NFL insider Jordan Schultz, a strong belief Derek Carr is very serious about unretiring and returning to the NFL. It was pretty clear all along. It was a stunt retirement for Carr, that he maybe would have even returned last year if the right opportunity had presented itself. Carr was always like the 16th to 20th best quarterback in the NFL. He was not a bottom tier. He never seemed to be threatening to ascend to the top tier. Is there any way that a talent like that, in his early 30s now, coming back after a year on the street, would this actually work out? Is this going to be something teams are actually interested in? Where do we find Derek Carr after a year's absence?
I think teams are going to be very, very interested. They're going to look powerfully into Derek Carr because he's shown. We talked on Tuesday about the NFL is a league where anybody will look at a quarterback who can do the basics, like who can come up to the line of scrimmage and read a defense and call an audible and make the smart throw, make the hot read, call a timeout when you need it, rush to the line to get a playoff if it's like an iffy, boundary reception or something, like that kind of stuff. And Derek Carr, he can do that. Is he good? Probably not. But I mean, he could be a vast improvement of the quarterback room for a few teams at least, right? Going into this year. I wouldn't be surprised if like he has like several suitors going forward. I don't know. Am I off base here?
Probably not. I mean, I'm looking at it. His QB win-loss, obviously wins are a team stat, but here's what the past 5 teams have done with Derek Carr: 8-8, 10-7, 6-9, 9-8, 5-5. So there's a baseline there, Kyle. We never saw any ceiling during his 11 years, though. The baseline was higher some years than other. He was never a disaster, but he was just not a guy taking a team to the next level. Not even sure he's really a guy who could be like the finishing piece to the puzzle. Do you think that like Minnesota Vikings, is this a situation that would make sense? Just what kind of team might actually plausibly consider Derek Carr to be like the final piece to their roster puzzle?
Vikings was the one that came to mind. And in terms of we just talked about it. They cannot go into the season with JJ McCarthy as their starter unless, like you said, maybe he truly just does show up in this third season. He's a really young guy who has very few reps as far as guys heading into their third season go. Maybe the offseason changes him and he has a great camp. He's the starter. They cannot plan on that being the case. And more importantly, I think they should plan on someone else starting in week 1, someone who rises to the level of not even Sam Darnold, right? Because Sam Darnold last year was enough to get them just a few plays away from having the 2 years ago at this point, having the number 1 overall seed and getting the bye heading into the playoffs. I think even a Mac Jones, or if Derek Carr is who he was 2 years ago, obviously he had the shoulder injury. Maybe this is just like he physically can't hang anymore. But if he just is as good as he was with the Saints, which, like you said, it's a top 20 quarterback, but probably not even a top 15 quarterback, somewhere in that right above or maybe slightly below average range, I think Kevin O'Connell and the skill position players they have can do a lot with that. I think that's almost certainly going to be true. Will they be as good as they were with Sam Darnold? Probably not. But if you're KOC, you're probably thinking like, I don't need to win 15 games. I need 11 to keep my job or something like that. And that's why you go out and you get a Mac Jones or you get a Derek Carr. So I think they're the top of the list. The Steelers, just because they're so obsessed.
Let me be clear. If they don't get Kirk Cousins, which they are getting Kirk Cousins, they'll get Mac Jones.
You're saying the Vikings?
Yeah.
You think they would do a Kirk Cousins reunion? I think it'd be interesting.
Did you listen to Tuesday's show yet? I thought you did.
I don't know. Yeah, probably. If I texted you mean things about it, I did.
No, I don't think you did, actually.
Maybe not.
So we basically we stopped pretending like Kirk Cousins is going to be the Vikings quarterback.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah, we stopped pretending, Kyle.
That
doesn't sound like you agree.
I don't. It'd be very, very weird. I mean, I think it makes sense. It makes a ton of sense for both sides. I just don't know if he has the desire to go back. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.
Or they should not have the desire to bring him back. You can never.
Also true. I would understand why they wouldn't have the desire to bring him back. Yeah,
they should be stopped from themselves that they do seriously consider that. 2 statements here. The 2025 Minnesota Vikings make the playoffs with Derek Carr. True or false?
True.
Yeah, probably true.
Almost unquestionably true.
True. Yeah.
They went 9-8 with like the ghost of Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
The ghost of Christmas past, Carson Wentz. The ghost of Christmas future.
Basically anybody else except for McCarthy last year, and they probably would have made the playoffs.
Yeah. So, and also,
it's a good team. It's a good defense. Obviously, all-world receiver. Sorry to interrupt you.
I guess it's a good team. They're always overrated. They're so overrated. The Flores defensive approach is overrated.
Really?
Are we getting to the point where Justin Jefferson's overrated?
Ooh.
I feel like this is like this is like a midlife crisis situation.
I'm about to have a 5th child. Is Justin Jefferson even good?
I have my doubts that he's like a top 3 receiver. I think that there's probably three receivers who are better.
What are you humming about?
I don't know. I can't decide.
Just ask the question.
Justin Jefferson, the only thing I will say to put fantasy back in my bio, I don't know if there's ever been a fantasy player who's burned me more frequently
me too.
than Justin Jefferson. Like, he's the best player that somehow costs me my fantasy season every single
year.
Like, every year he's somehow not torpedoing.
Okay, listen, this is just me just shooting from the hip. When I draft Justin Jefferson in the league, I know I've lost.
Guys, I gotta be honest. I got my binoculars out. I'm looking at this guy's stats. Which years were you drafting him? There's only 2.
It was both those. It was those 2 years.
You just picked the 2 wrong years, and you just have the worst taste in your mouth. But of his 6 NFL seasons, 4 of them, they're pretty awesome.
His 2023 is why I'm looking to move to a tax-free state. I can no longer afford to live here. And Missouri, famously high tax state. Real quick, JJ McCarthy, odds he's the week 1 starter. Kyle Dvorchak.
5, single digits, and it's low.
Too high.
Yeah, it's zero. It's zero.
It's very possible it's 0.
He might not be on the roster. Pat said that a few weeks ago, and I think Pat was right.
Pretty odds he's on the roster, Kyle.
In 85, 90%. It's not 0. Also, another one where it's not 0, but 90.
Because Josh Rosen would be too extreme of a comparison. Rosen was already off the roster by his 3rd year. I do really get Trey Lance vibes, who was off the 49ers roster by year 3.
Let's just say this. If we get a report about McCarthy suffers some sort of injury in not training camp, but like OTAs or something.
Yeah, misses any of OTAs,
like any of that stuff in May or June, and I feel like it's completely over for him.
JJ McCarthy, a situation we will continue to talk about all of season long. Quarterback, a position we'll continue to talk about when we come back right after this. The Premier League the Premier League title. I cannot read, folks. Premier League title race is beginning to heat up. So don't miss the action this Saturday on NBC and Peacock when Manchester City looks to continue its push up the table as they face off with Leeds United. Catch the matchup at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC and streaming on Peacock.
That was smooth.
Nailed it.
That was smooth.
Nailed it.
I'm pretty sure
Adam, just use some AI and fix that up.
Can we punch that up with some AI? Not really sure what I think I almost said the word ladle.
Well, when you misplaced an L somewhere, and I assume you were skipping ahead in your mind to Leeds, the word Leeds, so that L just transplanted to where your mouth was.
Something happened there. Yeah, we're gonna use. Yeah, Adam said we're gonna for now on use my AI voice.
Yeah, halfway through that, I said, "Grok, is this true?"
Yeah, I grant my consent from now on for my AI voice. I love reading Premier League titles too, because I'm like, I know the Premier League guys. I've heard of Leeds. Denny has not heard of Leeds. I have. I will be watching this weekend. Not a joke. I'll tell you what I was tired of watching was Kyler Murray with the Arizona Cardinals. But so he's trying to force his release. I'll go to Kyle first on this. Denny and I have talked about it a little bit. We'll get Kyle's take first. Mm-hmm. He reportedly wants a clean break in the Arizona Cardinals. Same, obviously. Anyone who's ever played for the Arizona Cardinals wants a clean split in the Arizona Cardinals. Getting released, though, not only would the Cardinals not save money, there would be an additional cap surcharge, only $2 million, but the dead money would be through the roof. They would not be clearing any cap space. They clear a lot more cap space if Kyler Murray's traded. Do you agree with my take, Kyle, that the way things have gone between this player and team, they're not going to be looking to do right by the player? Sorry, Kyler, you haven't really earned we're going to treat you, like a franchise cornerstone. We're going to treat you like a guy we're sick to death of, basically. Mm-hmm. And any chance he actually gets released, either way, trade market, free agent market, if he is truly available, which every indication is that he is available, is he the most sought after quarterback in this market?
So on him getting released, I believe it's the 3rd day of the league year, which is March 15th, if I remember correctly. He has 2027 guarantees that trigger to the tune of about $20 million. Ooh. So it does, holding on to him longer makes him more costly to.
So they might just bite the financial bullet is what you're saying.
And that also just makes the timeline of a trade very tricky. Not impossible, right? Because we're already getting trades that are not official being announced. So he could be traded between now and that day. Then I believe that would mean his next team, they would trigger that 20 million unless like restructured or something. So there's kind of a tight timeline for them to ultimately just rip the Band-Aid and cut him. I do not think that guarantees that he's cut by any means. I think there will be a very healthy market for a team to get him on free agency. Some of those teams might just say, like, let's take his contract right now. If we're going to be pursuing him in free agency, let's just guarantee we get him by trading for him. And I think he's an interesting reclamation project. Last year on a team that, like, I don't think was particularly good in terms of how it was coached. Obviously, the coaching staff was fired. I think Drew Petzing's he's like the Derek Carr of offensive coordinators. I don't think he's terrible, right? I thought you guys were pumping him a little too much when he's with the Lions right now, right? But
he plays fantasy football, so I mean,
sure, yeah, that's cool. I don't really think it helped Kyler all that much that he plays fantasy football.
We're trying to find out. We're all trying to find out why every single coach that ever coached Kyler Murray failed.
Gets fired immediately.
Yeah,
though, right?
We're trying to find the quarterback who did this.
Yeah, I mean, I have some hope, right? I ultimately don't think if my team signs Kyler Murray, if I'm a fan of the Dolphins or the Jets, then I'm like, we've solved the issue.
You gotta be the Jets. The league should be like, no, like, sorry, bro. Like, the Jets are not allowed to acquire Kyler Murray because I mean there would be truly no point in like running that experiment.
Oh.
Everyone knows the most doomed marriage in the actual history of the National Football League. Like, someone has to step in if the Jets try to acquire Kyler Murray.
There would be a chance that he would never step on the field for the Jets. Like that he would never actually take a snap as a Jet.
Like, someone would have to step in if that happened. We digress, Kyle. Sorry.
I agree. I think if the Jets get him, if the Dolphins get him, if he's somehow like stuck in Arizona, all these situations, actually, I don't know. Arizona might be well coached this coming year. Those would be very unappealing. If you told me a guy who this past year was 22nd in EPA per play, which, like we were talking about Derek Carr, it's fine. He's not really good, nor is he bad. That put him just between Justin Herbert, who I think is good, but again, like mixed results there. Michael Penix, I'm not sure is good. I don't also know for sure that he's bad. If you just put him in that mix of players and you put that player on the Vikings, I have some optimism for that kind of player on the Vikings. And on the other hand, if you put him on the Jets, I have zero optimism. So I understand why a team like the Vikings, who probably just can't afford it, right, depending on like what they want to do at quarterback. But I understand why a team like that could convince me that it's a good move, that a decent quarterback who still has a lot of juice on the ground too. He was on pace for 99 carries and 588 yards. He would have led all quarterbacks in rushing. It was like 5 games. But on his 5-game pace, he would have had the best rushing season for a quarterback this past season. That type of player, I can see myself buying into, even if the odds of it working are slim. The universes in which it does work, they could be fun.
It's interesting he's running because he just does everything possible to not get hit anymore. But I mean, Denny, pretty compelling case that Kyler is the best quarterback available because the competition, Mac Jones, Derek Carr, apparently part of that competition.
Denny, you can make the case for Mac Jones. I know you're going to.
Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins, apparently Tyson Bagent. Do you put Kyler Murray at the top of this list, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I can't even pretend like to say Mac Jones or.
No, go ahead, Denny.
I actually think you could pretend to say Mac.
You
Jones.
could do it. We know you could.
Well,
I think I could do it.
I could do it too.
All right, so Kyle brings up by the way, it's hard to have this Kyle.
I know it's already tripping me up a little bit.
Kyle, our co-host, says that the bull case, I think, is to get him to Minnesota, where you have a quarterback whisperer in Kevin O'Connell, where the system is good, where you have a built-in wide receiver one. My concern here is that it's so damning that Trey McBride went from basically like a nobody to like a household name when Kyler was out of the lineup last year.
And this is pretty fantasy coded though, right? Because they lost nearly every game under.
And as you know, I've been totally haunted by the fact that they were acceptable with Kyler Murray at quarterback and then god awful with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback.
I'm talking about for fantasy. So this guy, I mean, he doesn't have a history of like peppering his elite.
No, and he has a history of like having toxic relationships with alpha skill players.
Yes.
DeAndre Hopkins
Yeah.
kind of began that trend. Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, like Kyler and Justin Jefferson together would be combustible, to put it mildly.
Right. I mean, yeah, Justin Jefferson has his issues on the field. Kyler Murray, it clearly like doesn't like talk with anybody. You know, it's an issue. It has been an issue. I mean, the Cardinals front office is like, we don't like, no, we haven't talked to him. And
Pat, when you said that there would be no goodwill towards Kyler, I was like, of course there's not going to be. This is a team that put the "you need to study more" contract or
Yes.
clause in
Yeah.
his contract.
That's true.
I totally agree that they're not going to be doing him any favors. Maybe it works out to be in his favor, but there's 100% no goodwill between the two sides.
yeah. So I mean, and you wonder how good he is, right? And I know Kyle referenced his EPA numbers a minute ago, but I was looking at his Kyler Murray's adjusted EPA per play from 2023 to 2025. Okay. And I mean, he's 16th out of 40 qualifying quarterbacks, which is fine. Right. He's in line with Justin Herbert, Tua, you know, guys who we continually ask, are they actually good? And I think that if you put any of those guys into the Minnesota system, they become very interesting and possibly viable as a long-term option.
One weird thing I would say about Kyler is that him and Derek Carr are very similar players in that there's very little difference between their floors and ceilings. You're never really that bad with them. You never seem to really be that good. Like Kyler last year, well, more in 2024, just repeated his rookie year storyline. Like Kyler is just the most like he is who he is quarterback ever. He's never had a play caller as good as Kevin O'Connell. But yeah, Kyler, your results may vary if Kyler Murray is your franchise savior. Tell you who was not a franchise savior was Anthony Richardson. Oh boy. And a lot of us first guessed this one. I don't think I've ever once drafted Anthony Richardson, so I'm completely innocent here on this. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports that the sides are searching for trade partners. Any reason for optimism, Denny, on the Anthony Richardson front? It seems like an experiment that's run its course. I'm not really sure who would revive it. Shane Steichen's actually pretty good offensive mind and play caller. He had no success whatsoever. I'm trying to turn Anthony Richardson into an NFL caliber starter. Any reason for hope in the underlying data or just like the vibes?
No, yeah, no. The data is literally could not be worse. And you look at from 2023 to 2024, no quarterback in the league was more inaccurate than Anthony Richardson. He has a gorgeous downfield throw, and I remember being pretty triggered by his Alec Pierce touchdown, I think in week 1 2 years ago, where
galvanizing event.
It was 65 yards in the air, like a gorgeous throw. I mean, the throw
the one off the back foot. He was playing the Texans, I think.
Watch a lot
one good play of his career.
Oh,
well, you can watch a lot of
football. It's worth like
today.
6 of them.
You've never seen anything like that, right? And so that's cool, but he can't really do anything else. So I think his trajectory is clearly out of the league soon. He's an elite athlete. I think a team can do something cool with him, not quarterback, but I like we talked about him as a supercharged Taysom Hill.
It would be so good. He's like a freakier Terrell Pryor. He's like even freakier than Terrell Pryor.
I feel like there are ways to get him the ball 3 to 5 times a game and be like, hey, do something cool and put him in position. But he's not a quarterback in the NFL. It's just not.
I don't understand why people never put good players in the Taysom Hill role. Like Justin Fields, the most Taysom Hill, actually good Taysom Hill I've ever seen in my life. Anthony Richardson is probably not quite as well suited for it as Justin Fields would be.
Really?
He's so unproven of a passer. He's a more rolling ball, butcher knives runner. I think Justin Fields is much more suited for the Taysom Hill role than Anthony Richardson. But just imagine putting a good player.
Well, I think that's the problem with why isn't the biggest kid in Pee Wee football playing wide receiver? You just put him at quarterback. Like Justin Fields gets to fail 10 times at quarterback before you ever consider putting him in the Taysom Hill role. And by the time you've gotten that far, Fields is like 33 and out of the league. So you just want to keep rolling on like the I can fix him situation. Taysom Hill's the only quarterback who was good enough at that weird stuff to find that role, but clearly bad enough at quarterback. Everyone's like, yeah, we're not trying that, obviously.
He like genuinely could not throw.
He's a
Taysom thing, like just has the worst arm I've ever seen for someone like Mohamed Sanu had a better arm. Like who are some of the other guys to throw trick passes?
Well, Odell Beckham back.
Yeah, Odell Beckham, way better arm.
Edelman, a better arm.
Edelman, better arm. There's someone right now that throws a lot of passes. Is it Amon-Ra?
He has a pretty
He's
good
thrown,
arm.
I think, one or two. Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. There is a receiver who could just whip it.
There's some receiver who's slinging it around the yard constantly.
Yeah.
I don't remember who.
Anyway, yeah.
Juwan Jennings.
I mean, he was recruited to Tennessee as a quarterback. So yeah.
Oh.
And he was, I believe he threw the pass to Christian McCaffrey in the Super Bowl, like crossbody, just Hail Mary, but horizontal.
Way better than Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
So Anthony Richardson, I don't really see the way forward.
I could spin it's probably not going to work, but it might work for us situation with him in that in 2024, he ranked 29th in EPA per play out of 32 quarterbacks. Objectively, as Denny pointed out, really bad. Not the worst in the league in terms of just efficiency, right? Because he gains a lot of efficiency back in rushing and non-sack taking that puts him ahead of specifically in 2024, Cooper Rush, Gardner Minshew, and Will Levis. The guys directly ahead of him, I just think this is kind of funny, directly ahead of him, so number 28 and number 27, Caleb Williams and Daniel Jones, two truly bad quarterbacks in 2024 who didn't just improve in 2025, but became like efficiency league leaders in 2025. Jones especially, Caleb Williams was still very efficient. These are guys who spent, for Caleb, it was only 1 year. For Daniel Jones, it was 5, I think, years of their careers with everyone saying, like, I just know for sure he's not a good quarterback. Like, I still have those moments with those guys, right? But they found the right situation to bring out all of their best traits, and they were more or less just as inefficient in 2024 as Anthony Richardson was. I do think it's hard where Anthony Richardson is so specific. I don't know if you can mold Anthony Richardson in something new. Daniel Jones is putty. Get him to do, at this point in his career, get him to do whatever you want, and he actually can do it. I don't think you can say the same with Ant, but like, I don't know. There's maybe something to be had there.
The biggest problem for Ant is that, like, not a bit this time, he has never been good. At Florida, he was not good. He was a 1-year starter. His stats were atrocious. Like, it was not efficient. He was not accurate. Wasn't even really as much of a big play guy as you would expect. Like Trey Lance, he barely played in college. Like, he started like 12 games. It was just doomed to
He
fail.
never had a chance.
He really did never have a chance. Like, he was someone that if he maybe needed to be a developmental prospect, like a second or third round pick, maybe would have been a better route for Anthony. But then you get the thing. He's checking him. He's winded, so he's checking out of the game. Like,
my God,
dude, you're the quarterback.
Yeah,
like that does not happen in the NFL. Apparently, what does happen in the NFL is teams might trade for Tyson Bagent? Question mark. Generating chatter at the combine. I mean, come on. Like, anything beneath the hood here, Denny? You gasped first. He hasn't started since 2023.
Yeah.
He's going to be 26 this year. I mean, he was not – this was like when Justin Fields was the most hotly debated player in football. So he was getting compared to Justin Fields. He was never even close to as good as Justin Fields, even like at his worst, Justin Fields. Anything here, Denny? How is this name popping up in combine chatter?
All right, look, I did the blurb on Ryan Poles saying, yes, I can confirm that multiple teams are calling about Tyson Bagent. And because it was unbelievable, right? And, I looked at his stats and he hasn't played in a bunch of years. And I'm like, okay, well, where'd this kid go to college? He went to Division II Shepherd. He did throw, no one talks about this, okay? Tyson Bagent threw 94 touchdowns over his final 2 seasons at Division II Shepherd.
Wow.
Okay, where's the media?
All right. Well, if Pat laced him up today, he could throw 60. I'm on 94.
Crickets, No, this is on par with multiple teams hotly pursuing Andy Dalton right now. Like
it's also been reported, which
cannot be taken seriously.
We had enough dignity to leave it out of the show sheet. But producer Adam was wondering, like, is the principle, like, we know so-and-so is bad, we're pretty sure so-and-so is bad, but we're not positive he's bad. That Tyson Bagent could be the guy. We're not positive he's bad. Will teams be more willing to trade for Anthony Richardson or Tyson Bagent?
And to me, it's clearly Ant.
Yeah.
I get that. Like Ant's been. Really
I'm not
bad.
saying should. Clearly, you should still take a shot on Ant.
No, but I mean, Richardson has something to work with, as in elite athleticism. I mean, look, assuming that Richardson has been in the gym for the past year, this is a huge assumption on our part.
True. Has Anthony Richardson ever electrified the city of Chicago for 1.5 games?
I mean, Bateman's
wait. Let me see if he played Chicago, because he might have had a terrible game against them, electrifying the city of Chicago.
Bagent, by the way, 2-2 as a starter.
Oh,
wow!
Well, sign him up.
So the Bagent, yeah, we'll see if that's the silly season stuff. Mac Jones somehow not silly season. Former first-round pick, went to Shanny finishing school. He does what all those kind of players do in Shanny finishing school. Performed well.
Mm-hmm.
Did not perform as well as Brock Purdy. There were a lot of like troll type thoughts, like there'll be no difference between Mac Jones.
Yeah, well,
Brock Purdy, Denny may have participated in that. I think we actually may have all participated in that. Brock Purdy, certified better than Mac Jones. But Mac Jones definitely saved his career. Kyle, where does Mac Jones fit into the quarterback options rankings? That's amongst the guys talking about Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, the other guy, Kyler Murray. How does Mac Jones compare to these other available QBs?
I mean, maybe this is also true. Kyler, I think I would rather have Mac Jones contingent on me having a really good head coach / offensive coordinator. I think that if I have Kevin O'Connell, I can maybe get more out of Mac Jones than I can out of Kyler Murray. If I have, I mean, the Cardinals aren't going to have Kyler Murray, but if I have Mike LaFleur, who I actually think is going to be a pretty good, at least offensive coordinator in terms of his head coaching ability, who knows if he can command a team, if he can actually get wins on the board. But I think he's going to be a good play caller. If I have him, I'm probably more interested in Mac Jones than I am Kyler Murray. On the other hand, if I have Bobby Slowick, maybe I'm just like, we should roll the dice on Kyler just being a poor fit for two teams, or two head coaches specifically, but being a truly talented quarterback, like having more physical attributes than Mac Jones. If I'm that type of team, if I'm the Jets, I know Mac Jones is going to work. I'm only 94% sure Kyler Murray isn't going to work. So I'd probably, if I'm the Jets, be more interested in Kyler. So I don't know if there's a clear like rank order of which one I think is better. I think they make up a clear top two on if you need a quarterback. These are the guys you should be pursuing, contingent on you having both the draft capital in terms of trade and the available money specifically for Kyler. But I do think that there are certain teams that would much prefer, understandably so, Mac Jones.
Would you trade a second-round pick for Mac Jones, Denny Carter?
If I were a contender, well, who would I do?
Vikings. I think the Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings. Would you trade? Because like the 49ers are trying to make us, we might not trade him. They're acting like they're playing hard to get on the Mac, which, to be fair, Brock Purdy does get hurt a lot.
He does. Right. I know. And Mac Jones is what, 80% of Purdy? You know, I mean, somewhere in there.
70, 80, sure.
The missing 20 is pretty important, but
it is. No, it is. I remember I was at an event in DC back in, I think, early November last year. And this was like during like the Mac Jones assance, right? And I was talking with a Niners fan at a bar, and I'm like, you know that they just got to keep starting Mac Jones. Like the Purdy thing's over. It's got to be over. And he was like, you're right. Oh man, you're right.
Oh no. Oh no. Wow.
I'm sorry to that guy, by the way. Anyway, the Vikings should definitely be willing to part with a second rounder for Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones, I think, can do well in that Kevin O'Connell system. I might be overconfident in Kevin O'Connell, but I mean, he makes a lot of quarterbacks work.
We do tend to overrate sometimes these, like, from all we know, maybe Josh Dobbs was just kind of good. Like Nick Mullins was not good. He was good in fantasy. Like a lot of times you look at these situations and realize you have fewer data points than you thought. And like, turns out like Sam Darnold was maybe just good all along. Maybe that was more Sam Darnold than Kevin O'Connell. Yeah. But they would be a good fit. I mean, they make the playoffs. They have Mac Jones. Mac Jones, he's basically like this year's Daniel Jones. Former first-round pick.
Yeah.
A guy who's never been certified as great. He was never truly bad. but he's like the closest analog we have to Daniel Jones this year.
And Mac Jones, I guess this is mostly based on vibes, but we'll just go with it. It's February. He throws to the best player.
He does always. That is one of his things. Mac Jones has kind of already lost the history. He was the Brian Thomas Jr. guy.
Brian Thomas Jr. was a Mac Jones merchant.
He was.
And in San Francisco, Mac Jones, I believe, targeted Kittle more heavily than Purdy does. So he knows where his bread is buttered, as the kids would say. And I think that he would just here's a good one. The Zoomers say this, right? He would just spam it to Justin Jefferson, right?
That's a really, really interesting Mac Jones. But Mac Jones too, was kind of made fun of for his reaction to an ankle injury in New England. Dude winced the hell out of it last year, where he was being splintered apart. He was like, I gotta keep playing. Are you sure? You're actually technically clinically dead right now. Are you sure you're in the game? I got to.
We're looking into who made the jokes about his ankle injury.
I know.
Denny, we are not looking into it. In fact, Congress has called that one off.
Good time to take a short break. We'll be right back after this. This weekend, the world's best golfers take on the bear trap. See if 5-time major champion Brooks Koepka and company can survive and advance up the leaderboard at the Cognizant Classic and the Palm Beaches this weekend at 3 p.m. Eastern on NBC and Peacock. Kind of bombed another promo read. Need AI Pat real bad. I've been on a huge winning streak on the promo reads too for a while.
You're cold. It happens.
I hadn't tanked one in a long time. Speaking of Brian Thomas Jr., what is closer to the real BTJ, you think, Denny Carter? 2024 Mac Jones merchant, or 2025 I can never get hit over the middle of the field Brian Thomas Jr. This is against the backdrop, of course, of ESPN's Dan Graziano reporting NFL teams are monitoring the trade market for the third-year former first-rounder.
Look, last year was all about chemistry and attitude with Brian Thomas and Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. I don't know if they have a thing with each other, but the vibes were hideous on the field last year. Even in games where they would try to do that thing where it's we're going to get our guy involved in the game early, right? And so they would do bubble screens and short throws to Brian Thomas. That didn't work. And Brian Thomas didn't seem interested in sacrificing himself over the middle. He had a shoulder injury that may have been worse than he let on or the team let on. And so it all led to him being basically the wide receiver 3 by a good margin. I mean, it was Parker Washington, then a gap, then Jacoby Myers, then a big gap, and then Brian Thomas. And Brian Thomas was, a Rashid Shaheed type, just run downfield, we'll throw it to you once in a while, buddy. That is ridiculous to me. And it says that they kind of wrote him off last year as a guy who just was not content, was not happy on the field. He can definitely get back to 2024. Now, can he now after maybe spoiling it last year? I don't know. But if they do deal him, if he gets out of Jacksonville one way or another, I don't think 2025 is indicative of how he will be going forward.
I completely agree with that, Kyle. And with Brian Thomas Jr., I think what it comes down to, last year I doubt he was ever healthy. And we tend to underrate just how difficult it is. Even after you suffer a supposedly, or at least by NFL standards, minor injury in August or September, that can really derail your entire season just for a variety of reasons. And the way I view the BTJ only having success with Mac Jones thing so far, it's not a bad thing. If you can go nuts with Mac Jones as your quarterback, as a rookie, no less, that's a good potential outcome. Is it the kind of thing, maybe he'll never repeat those rookie year numbers though. Would splitting the difference be a good outcome, in your opinion, Kyle Dvorchak?
Maybe I really do think he's extremely good. It's something my analogy is if you saw someone set the world record for high jump, you wouldn't be well, what's the real, they had a bad jump a different day. You'd be you can only be so good if you literally are that good. Football's different. It's a team sport. There are different schemes, different, we said, he broke out with Mac Jones. So it's not purely that once you hit 1,300 yards, which he came up just shy in his rookie season, you are just that good. But it is really hard to be a rookie and post nearly 1,300 yards and not actually be an awesome NFL player. So maybe in Jacksonville, the way they're set up, he does never get the opportunity to get back to the trajectory he was on after his rookie season. But to me, that's why if I'm another team, I am like banging down the Jags door, trying to buy at like 99 cents on the dollar, because I think it's a really valuable dollar. Because I think in the right situation, as we saw in his rookie season, he can not just be like a team's wide receiver one, he can be a stud, like an alpha top 5 NFL player if he continues on that trajectory. You just look at the guys who are around 1,200 yards, like between 12 and just over 1,300 yards as rookies, starting at 13 yards, which is like 30 more than Brian Thomas. Randy Moss, next guy below him, Odell Beckham. Next guy, which is below Brian Thomas, is Malik Neighbors. Next guy after that's Lad McConkey. Guy after that, Michael Thomas. Like guy after that, Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper. Now we're getting down to about 1,100 yards. There just are not almost any bad players among this guy was awesome as a rookie list. You just don't find him.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I still think somewhere, maybe not in Jacksonville, but somewhere, he's a superstar wide receiver. So someone should unlock that. Maybe it's the Jags, maybe it's not.
It's a phone call you have to make. And maybe the Jags just think he doesn't fit with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is kind of a weird quarterback and seems to have better chemistry with like more underneath unexplosive guys. Maybe they just think it won't work with Trevor Lawrence. Maybe that's one reason they're willing to sell low. I ultimately do not expect them to do so. But really fascinating storyline to follow. DJ Moore, the Bears are going to sell low. Like these sides are out on each other. He's generating a lot of trade chatter. Do either of you have optimism for a DJ Moore 2026 bounce back? He's getting older finally after like always being one of those guys. He's only 24.
Yeah, I know.
He's hurt a lot, but he never misses time somehow. He's in the hospital and then playing the following week. That kind of player last year. Just a really strange up and down career. You got either of you? I'm just going to open it up to the floor. Have faith in maybe a DJ Moore bounce back?
He would need to get it out of Chicago because they really just didn't feature him. Like if you look when everyone was healthy or even when just one of Odunze or Burden or Colston Loveland were healthy, he was kind of an afterthought for much of the season. His first read target rate very low throughout. His target per route run dropped pretty significantly year over year. So I don't think he's bad. I think he actually would be very interesting in another offense where he can get more looks. He can be more of a featured guy. It doesn't seem to me Ben Johnson has any intention of forcing the issue with DJ Moore. I think that he's more focused on, run heavy, run first offense with Colston Loveland maybe as the featured pass catcher, maybe Luther Burden coming up this year. So I want to see him get out of Chicago for fantasy purposes.
His past 5 receiving totals: 1157, 888, 1364. His first year in Chicago, the 966, 682. Played 17 games, all 5 of those seasons. Yeah. Kyle, do you think he's traded? It seemed like a situation that had run its course, but NFL teams are not in the business of giving away useful players. He can still be useful. It just seems like it's not a stylistic fit. Do you think he's traded?
I think he's cut. I don't think he's traded. I don't think they could get a team to take on his contract. And he's another player, I believe, who has future year guarantees that trigger early in this year. Again,
all right, he's gone. Then. Never going to be an Indiana Bear.
Yeah, God, Indiana, Jesus.
We used to be a country, but yeah.
We used to be. So yeah, I don't think he has played at a level that warrants his contract in the past 2 years. Last year was by far his worst year in yards per out run, by far his worst year in targets per out run. Worst year in PFF receiving grade. His worst year as a Bear, because he did have some up and down years in Carolina. His worst year as a Bear in yards after the catch. Worst year as a Bear in open score. And for a lot of those, his second worst year was in 2024. I think he's a player who's somewhat clearly in decline. Maybe a change of scenery works out for him. But I think if you're trying to buy low as an NFL team on DJ Moore, you are doing it for dirt cheap after he is cut, when it doesn't cost you anything to acquire or to hang on to the contract he currently has. And at that point, I get it that maybe it truly he's lacked effort over the past 2 years. That is
at least he ended the season on a high note.
Yeah. I mean, he is plummeting his own numbers in a way that's not indicative of quote his talent, in that someone just needs to get some dog back in him for him to at least be a functional player. Because he was almost like non-functional in 2025.
Maybe he's just like an alpha receiver type. He never ascended quite that high. The kind of guy who team and player burn themselves out on each other, and he needs a new locale. Like a step.
Yeah, I think definitely some of that has happened. It's just how much of that, which I think almost certainly is the case, explains how bad he's been over the past 2 years. I don't think it explains a lot of it, but I do think it explains at least a small percentage of it. And I can understand a team for cheap trying to buy low.
Turns 29 in April. Denny.
Yeah, just real quick. I was remembering last summer how bad things got, how bad things were at the start with Ben Johnson coming in and immediately saying DJ Moore needs to improve his attitude. Like we talked about it. DJ Moore saying
about that.
Because there were a couple times the season before where DJ Moore walked off the field in the middle of a play.
Mid play, man.
Yeah.
Hey, ball's not going, dude. Who cares?
I mean, DJ Moore definitely thinks he's
I don't see
definitely thinks he's better than he is.
He does.
And that's okay. That makes him a receiver. And I think he would be cool in a certain offense. The Raiders might be a good fit. Who knows?
They could be. I think. Are you just stealing a comment from one of our Twitch viewers?
Oh, what? Really? Did someone say that?
Yeah, they did. Wow.
You can delete it because I don't think it's
credit
them. Anyways.
Was it? Who was it? Was it? Oh, it was capitalized. Said the Raiders. You heard it here first.
The Raiders need a lot of receiver help. Denny, real quick to end the show. I mean, why was the Saquon Barkley system mad? Like, come on.
Glad you asked. Listen, they're
going to install more zone blocking concepts, is the report out of Eagles camp.
You may have heard of this guy, a more Shanahan friendly running game for Saquon Barkley. I like it. I just looked, kind of cursory into the numbers a little bit and found that the Eagles bottom half of the league in zone rushing attempts last year. So it wasn't like their thing. But they were pretty good at it. Top 10 rate in success rate for on zone rushes. And I mean, look, anything to kind of jostle loose what was going on with that running game last year. They're going to have a new offensive line coach for the first time in a long time. Remember that news broke as we got into an elevator with an Eagles offensive lineman at the Super Bowl.
Landon Dickerson.
Yep. We got right when we looked at our phones and like, oh, they just lost their offensive line coach. We get into the elevator with Landon Dickerson, and I was like, I definitely shouldn't say anything, right?
Yeah,
like,
I did not, thankfully.
I didn't.
You should have said something.
We wouldn't be here
because it's the right thing to do, but it's because it's funny.
I did make a joke though. I said it loudly enough so everybody heard. I said, hey, Pat, thank goodness they have a one offensive lineman per elevator rule in this hotel.
I think the one other one had just gotten off.
And he laughed and he said, yo, you'd be surprised how many of us could fit on a
He did.
And the answer's two, and you're like, that is surprising. I would have thought one.
He's big. He was big.
Now they're text buddies, Denny and
yeah,
Lane.
we are. We just I'm trying to wrap it up so I can text him back. But he so the zone blocking thing is interesting to me. I feel like I want to write something about it.
I just feel like Saquon Barkley's kind of guy. We're like, all right, whatever. Like, Saquon is Saquon. I don't think it matters. Like, Saquon's going to do what Saquon does.
And Nick Sirianni said he named like basically every kind of run, and he was like, Saquon can do it all, and if he busts one, he busts one.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. He's Saquon. The system is Saquon. The show is the Rotoworld Football Show. It's over. It's going to be back next week, though, as free agency gets really, really close. We're going to be breaking down our primer that Denny and I have definitely started and are close to finishing.
I'm almost done.
We're breaking. Oh, gosh. We're going to be breaking. Hopefully you did the right positions. We're going to talk about the Combine. Kyle's going to have some of the takeaways from the Combine. It's going to be really good stuff. It's going to be a news-packed week, I'm sure. So for Denny Carter, for Kyle Dvorchak, and Patrick Daugherty, we appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you really soon.